That was not a bass. That was for sure a pike. Welcome back, everybody. So today we are fishing with a brand new bait from Sense, a little swim bait. Really excited to throw this. It wasn't that long ago that we had fished some new baits from Berkeley, and now we've got one from Sense, and it's the option. So let's go ahead and crack this thing open and tie her on, see what we can get into. But before I forget, we are still doing our lure giveaway box, so make sure to stay to the end of the video to hear more about that. Let's get after it. So it is called the option because it's got a top and bottom harness. It's pre-rigged, obviously, with the bottom. I don't know why mine looks like it's been taped up and repackaged. Hopefully this wasn't a dud of some sort, but we're gonna get this thing open, tie her on, hopefully catch a decent sized fish. We're throwing a little bit bigger of a bait for, you know, late fall. It's extremely cold out right now, in the hopes of trying to get that 4-pounder to give away that lure box. But let's get her open and get after it. All right, this is what she looks like. So a relatively modest size swim bait for sure. It is called the option again because it's got a hook hanger on the bottom and the top. You can fish it kind of however you want to. I fish a ton of lakes with a lot of cover and grass, which is when you might want to go ahead and throw that on the top. So if everything goes according to plan, we'll fish it on the bottom the way it comes pre-rigged. Catch a couple fish and then flip it on over the top, see if hookup ratios are the same, all that sort of stuff. That all being said, hopefully we don't end up with a pike and it rips off the tail immediately. I never use the hangover, and one thing that everybody always said about the hangover is it smelled like a spray paint can, and this one kind of smells like a Sharpie. So not a great smell, but I don't know that the fish are obviously going to care that much. But let's get her tied on and see if we can't catch a couple. Hopefully catch a big one, because I really do want to give away that lure box. And late fall, this is probably about as big as I would want to go ahead and fish. So let's see if we can't get into one. All right, let's see how she looks in the water. You can actually, oh, it's not too bad. Just messing around right next to shore, I thought you had to reel it like really, really quickly, and that's not true. You just need a little bit more line out there. Yeah. It's actually kind of bright in this tannic water, so you can actually see it quite a ways. It's got a pretty decent tail kick. It's actually got some tail kick and a little bit of wobble. So good action in secondary action, which is kind of typically what you want. Now we just have to see if the fish want it. All right, let's see if we can get lucky. This is a pretty light swim bait too. I think it's an ounce or 1.4 ounces, so you don't need a real big swim bait rod to be able to throw it. And it does sink pretty quick if you stop reeling, so I would be much more apt to let it fall if I knew that there wasn't a ton of timber in here and get hung up instantly. So, all right, that is it for today. insanely cold. We only had about 30 minutes to throw this thing. I was hoping for the best and getting a fish or maybe two to bite, but that didn't happen. We will most certainly be out with this in another day or two, with a little bit more time to actually fish it, and we'll probably, hopefully, have a much better chance of catching a fish. All right, this is day 2 of us fishing the option. I'm trying to fish 2 videos concurrently with the bass puzzle grass piece, and something kind of funny happened. So you might have seen this already, but we'll roll it again. Whoo! That was not a bass. That was for sure a pike. I was planning on doing this video after fishing with the puzzle piece, but you see a blow up like that, you don't mess around with it. This is on the option, so this fish might be in might be in 2 videos if we don't lose him. That's not a bad pike. That is not a bad pike. Oh. I'm glad we didn't hook that guy. Oh gosh, see, in the trolling motor. Glad we didn't hook him on the puzzle piece, because that thing would have been gone. That is a fatty. Oh gosh. I don't know if our swim bait's gonna make it. Let's see if we can get lucky and get him. That's a big pike. Nope, don't do that. I saw the hook. There we go. Look at that. That's probably a 35 down there. Let's try and get him unhooked without thrashing too much. See if we can't get our bait back. That'll probably be on 2 videos. That's crazy. There is our hook. Pretty easy, to be honest. It's not deep down there. Easy. There we go. Look at the teeth on that guy, though. Holy cow. Those are some bigger teeth on a pike than I've seen in a bit. But you won't weigh him. But he is large. That's definitely a 35, maybe even bigger. All right, we'll let him go. All right, I did measure him actually. He was 36.5. All right, we'll let him go. That was one of the biggest pike I've caught in a bit. So that was awesome. Yeah, he blew up on the bass puzzle grass piece, whatever it's called, and blew up on that. Chucked this guy in there, doing pretty well for the most part. Our leader, great thing that we had that on there. We did lose an eye, but again, any sort of soft plastic, you are going to absolutely get torn up as soon as you get some pike on there. So, but hooked it, came free, which was great. Stayed together, short of our eye. The plastic looks pretty darn good too, so that is awesome. Doesn't count for our 4-pound bass, but there are some big fish in the area, so maybe we'll get lucky with that. But yeah, that'll probably be in both of our videos. It was just strange how that happened. That is it for the option today. We only had 1 bite, but it was a good bite. So we will come out and fish one more time with this thing. In all honesty, fishing a lure this big, it's not that big, but for this late in fall, getting close to winter, it's pretty large. In summer, I think this would have been no problem. Probably would have caught a bunch of bass too, but this late in fall, it starts getting a little rough. But we'll fish it one more time in hopes to catch a couple more fish. Welcome back, everybody. It is about 30 degrees out right now. Fall is quickly becoming winter. We're gonna have ice out in not too terribly long, so this will probably be the last time that we throw the option. Hoping for 1 fish. If we get 1 or even more, I am very happy. The other day we ended up catching a very nice pike on this guy. So seeing how we caught a fish, decided to flip it around, do the option as far as the hook harness, and we flipped it around over to the top. If we can catch a fish on both, I would be very happy. But we're gonna need a little bit of luck today. Again, it is insanely cold. I think the high today is like 40. But yeah, ice fishing is not too terribly far away, which I am very excited about. But let's hope we can end up with 1 fish today. And if we're incredibly lucky, maybe it'll be a bass. If you've never heard cranes, that's what they sound like. Kind of sounds like something you'd see in or hear in Jurassic Park. They're starting to migrate down south. It's getting that cold. Oh. There's a pike that hit right there. No, that wasn't a real big one, not as big as the other one the other day. I saw him come up for it and slap at it. Oh man. Oh, it wasn't real big. I would say probably maybe 30, a little bit smaller than the one we caught the other day. Oh, that was so neat. I hope you guys saw that. That was pretty cool. Well, maybe that's a good sign. That pike the other day, he bit twice. First on the bass puzzle grass piece. Oh, there we go. And immediately chucked back in there with the option. He smoked it. That would have been great. He just kind of like bumped it. Not super, super aggressive, but I'm not a huge fan of the hook hanger being on top, because it kind of swims a little bit more sideways when you do that, unless you want to like really set the hook into that plastic. Maybe that's what we'll try. The hook hanger on the bottom, it swam much more normally. Oh. Got him. What is that? That's tiny, whatever it is. Oh my gosh. I didn't think we'd get one after we missed the first one. A tiny little pike. And I do mean tiny. Look at this guy. That other one was way bigger. He's not even worth getting my hands wet. Ah. Alright, I need pliers regardless. Hold on, buddy. Give me a second. Alright. As many times as this guy thrashed and rolled and everything else like that, that is one of the great things about having this hook hanger with a little swivel on it. It's like a 22 maybe. He definitely would have either come undone just from ripping his own lip open or something. But there we go. 2 bites already. One tiny fish, but we have to retie. No, he never got it. Very nice. And that bottom hook hanger, I just like that one better. And I guess that's the, probably why it's called that, but gives you the option whether you want a top or bottom. All right. Go see if we can't catch another one. Well, that is it for today. We fished for probably about another hour. Did not have another bite. Again, I think the number of fish that we're fishing for with this lure is not very, very large. So, that being said, we did not catch a 4-pound bass. We most certainly caught a 4-pound northern. But let's get back to the house, talk about our bait, and then put another lure in the box. All right, we are back home after fishing the option from 6 Sense. It is getting very late into fall, so I was hopeful that we would end up catching a decent bass on this, but not super optimistic. It's just starting to get kind of a big bait for bass this time of the year. They can most certainly eat it, and you'll definitely catch bass ice fishing, with shiners this big, but it's just so much more difficult. So I didn't expect to catch big bass, but it would have been pretty cool if we did. That being said, we had pike absolutely unload on this thing. We didn't fish it a ton of time, but we ended up with, I think it was 3 or 4 bites, ending up catching a couple of fish, and one very, very nice pike. That's the biggest pike I've caught in quite a while, maybe since ice fishing. So that was very, very cool. It held together relatively well. Albeit we did lose an eye, so that's not great, but on most baits, that's kind of the first thing to go. But there's a couple marks. Obviously, there's going to be. Pike have really sharp teeth, but it held together. Still very much usable. I actually really like this hook hanger. It does a great job. Multiple of those pike I think would have gotten off, or the couple of pike that we did catch, I think they very much could have gotten off if there wasn't a barrel swivel, you know, allowing them to turn and move and everything else like that, because they thrash quite a bit. So I like this bait a lot. I had to check. When I opened the package, it smelled like straight up Sharpie. It smells still a little bit like that, not nearly as bad, but the fish don't seem to care a ton as far as that goes. But yeah, has pretty solid action. With the swim bait rod I was throwing it on, you could feel a pretty decent thump from the tail kick. You don't have to reel it super quickly to get that tail to go either, so that's nice. With the option, obviously the name is so you can put, because you can put the hook harness on the top or the bottom. I personally liked it on the bottom a lot more. On the top, every once in a while, like the hook would kind of hang on the side, and then the fish or the bait wouldn't have quite the same action. It would kind of like lean to one side. So not my favorite as far as that goes. Bottom was definitely worked better for me and caught the fish. I almost wonder if we had the hook on the bottom for that first fish that we had today, if we wouldn't have gotten that, because the fish did bump the lure, but we had the hook on the top, and it obviously didn't bite it all that well, so we didn't get that one. But I wonder if we did have it on the bottom, if it wouldn't have potentially hooked up a little bit, or at least got them skin hooked or something like that. But solid bait. I like them a lot. I don't know how many I would necessarily buy, because I don't throw swim baits a ton, or at least soft plastic ones like these. Usually if I'm throwing a swim bait, it's either very, very large or very small. I don't really do a whole lot of the mid-size stuff, but nevertheless, I like the bait a lot. So, I don't know. We'll probably throw it for sure in spring next year, see if we can't get into some pike and stuff like that. It's probably a good swim bait to start off with when the water's just starting to warm up. But that being said, we did not catch a 4-pound bass today. We definitely caught a 4-pound pike. So if you're new to the channel, we are doing a lure box giveaway, and we have been for a while. It's kind of in a series format. So every video that we don't catch a 4-pound bass, we add a lure to the box. And this is just some of the stuff that we have in there. This box is absolutely loaded with things. So again, we don't know when we're going to go ahead and give this away. So make sure to like, comment, share, follow along. Look at all the rest of the videos previously to know everything that's in here. And follow along, because there's a chance that we end up catching a 4-pounder before December 1st. And we'll be doing that giveaway. So December 1st or before, but as we get closer and closer and the water gets colder and colder, the chances of us catching a 4-pounder are obviously less and less. So I don't know that we'll do it, but somebody will definitely be getting a lot of baits whenever we end up giving that away. And we'll be doing the giveaway over on Instagram, so make sure to follow over there too, so you can go ahead and enter whenever we end up giving this stuff away. That being said, didn't catch a 4-pounder again. So we got some baits to give away. I'm actually going to do multiple this video. Swim baits, you can never go wrong with a swim bait, whether it be bass, pike, you know, whatever, they all bite it. So we're going to give some a little bit more medium-sized baits. They're a 3.5 inch. And then we're going to go ahead and give something a little bit bigger in case people are fishing for bigger bass or pike. Pike will definitely crush that thing. So again, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos, like if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated. So until the next one.